Alright, look, the GTA Definitive Trilogy is garbage, and I have said it over 500 times already. For years I have shown you why I don't like it. Well, even I cannot deny that these editions have actual improvements. This video will show you what could have been if the 505 problems videos did not exist. How these 3 games could have been a much needed upgrade to the already fantastic original games. Here are the 101 improvements of the GTA Definitive Trilogy. Let's go. Did you know that a whole island was added to Vice City? Sure, it's barren and out of the way, you can't do much here, but it's a new addition and doesn't break anything else, so I welcome it. When selecting meals from the fast food places, you don't have to scroll through each item and find what you want. You can see them all on the screen and you can click on your desired one, not having to waste time. Changing the radio station is cumbersome in the originals. Very often you miss the station you want and you gotta go through all of them again to reach it. Well, now we have a radio wheel and we can select exactly what we want. After beating Vigilante, your armor bar does not visually change in the OG. In the Definitive it becomes much bigger. Now at a glance you know if you have already beaten this mission or not. When you shoot a window, it actually looks like you shot it. There's a bullet hole. In the OG it just changes color. Victim clothing stores added functioning mirrors. People can now look at themselves before they purchase something. It used to be very barren before. Water reacts to your shots in the Definitive. You can see ripples when a bullet goes in. In the OG it's static and boring. When spraying over a rival tag, you can see how it slowly gets sprayed over because an animation plays. It's no longer just an almost instant change to green. During drive-bys you had to lock your camera in a direction, only then you can shoot to the sides. Well, now you can look left and right slightly and simply shoot. This is much more convenient and you can see more in front of you. If a homie is hostile and you try recruiting him, a message pops up letting you know. In the original you just gotta guess. At certain parts of the ocean floor we can see fauna, seaweeds, rocks and so on. In the OG the ocean floor is mostly barren with occasional big rocks here and there. Also giant rocks seem to be floating and the sand is missing. Weird! Once you enter the Four Dragons Casino, now you'll be met by a car. This is a nice addition and looks like the car is a prize for anybody winning a jackpot or something. It technically is, because if your gambling skill is high enough, you can actually drive it and it won't be locked. Previously it was so empty here. One gripe I have always had with the originals is how slow you become when holding big weapons. I mean, it makes sense, sure, since they're heavy, but a slight jog would have been nice. Well, the Definitive fixed this issue and now you can move slightly faster. I appreciate this change. In the clothing menu you can hear a sound when CJ puts clothes on. It's in the OG too, I bet you didn't know that. And the reason is because it's so low volume that you probably never heard it. GTA 3 has a map now. While I don't think this is a useful feature, at least for myself, it's actually very needed for new players who don't already know the layout of the cities. After using Nitro in San Andreas, it needs to recharge. When it's ready, there's an indication in the Definitive. In the OG you have to guess, to closely look at your exhaust or to mash the Nitro button until it activates. In Vice City, after completing a stunt jump for a second time, the game will let you know about it. In the OG you gotta guess if you have done it already, forcing you to try it over and over again, wondering why it's not working. In San Andreas, if you fail the cheated challenge, you can restart from the checkpoint again. This saves you so much time climbing all the way back up the mountain. Pickups like weapons, packages and so on now glow below, all in unique colors. This makes them stand out and you can spot them from a greater distance. When you get busted, the screen colors change to red and blue. It makes sense since the police gotcha. It used to just fade out, no special colors. In the original Vice City you could not look out the front windows of the mansion, only from the back. Now you can look out from both directions and you can even see the traffic from here. Speaking of traffic, when looking at a distance from a high building, you'll notice the fake cars far away from you. This was carried over from GTA 4 and it's a great detail, it makes the world feel more alive. Trees are not ghost trees anymore, almost every single tree you see has collision, which is way more consistent than the original, and it's not a 50-50 chance whether or not you would crash into a tree. In the OG, the energy headlights are broken. Only one of them works because we can see only one round light. This was fixed in the Definitive and now they both work. The Definitive editions have parallax interiors. These are fake interiors you see from the outside of buildings. Some look terrible and out of place, sure, but many add a lot of depth to existing buildings and you don't see simple boring walls like before. This flag is animated in the Definitive. Look how it moves around. Ooh, it's completely static in the original. During Rampage side missions, you can collect the money and the weapons gang members drop. It's very weird how you could not do that in the OG, it just never made sense. Buying tattoos showcases the exact position of the tattoo on the tattoo preview. Sure, you can read too, but a visual indication is always welcome in my eyes. A few more languages were added to the game. Now for me personally, even if Bulgarian was present, I would still use English, but many people like playing in their native language, so the more we have, the better it is and more inclusive the games become. Night vision in San Andreas actually works well now. It never really helped before, making the game way too bright, but now there is a nice balance of light levels. With the Come Fly With Me cheat, you can control the tilt of the car, not only left and right, but also up and down, and yes, you can do this with the mouse as well, not just the controller. In the OG, you don't have the same precision when flying. Very often in these games you get some kind of bar and some text next to it telling you what it is. In the Definitive now, in addition to that, you get some icon like a tiny clock when the mission is timed. I'm a sucker for little indications like this and I miss them when playing the OG. When wasted, blood splatters on your screen. While this makes no sense when drowning, I still think it's a nice touch. It's better than getting flashbanged like before. In the original, we can see these wires just hanging around with nothing supporting them. They should be held up by these pillars from the Definitive. Unfortunately, they forgot to bring back the wires here, but at least there's no floatiness anymore. Now you just gotta ignore the lack of a collision and you can count this as an improvement. In Vice City, we used to have a ghost tower. After the loading screen, it disappears. This is a leftover from the beta version. This tower does not exist anymore since we don't have a loading screen and everything is visible at all times. When you burn a body, it turns into charcoal after a few seconds in the Definitive. In the OG it doesn't and stays the same after death. If you wanna check your map, all you gotta do is pause the game. You don't even need to click on it, but you're free to do so, which makes it bigger. In the OG, after pausing, you had to enter a separate menu and scroll forever so you can see where you are. Now it's just more convenient with less clicks. The disco's lighting and the fog makes it look like a disco. In the OG, the vibe is just gone. The Ballista car can now spawn in Portland at Capital Autos. This allows you to complete more of the import-export list early. Previously you had to get it all the way from Stoughton Island after unlocking it. NPCs have randomized clothes now. This adds so much variety to the pets all around the city. Yes, this makes spotting gang members more difficult, but this way it feels like the NPC count quadrupled. I love it. In GTA 3 and Vice City you can now control your camera in vehicles just like you did in the original San Andreas. You no longer need to lock your camera in a direction, so you can look left and right. This right here is one of my favorite additions, being able to zoom out in your minimap. This is immensely helpful in San Andreas. You can plan your route so much easier now. I don't like how the map is tilted since icons are misplaced, but the zoom is still a welcome feature in my eyes. During the Under Surveillance mission, the subtitles are now correct, unlike in the OG. They now follow exactly what Asuka says. Previously, to view your player stats, you had to get out of your car. You had to be on foot. Now you can be in any vehicle, press Alt and see what you want. It will no longer slow you down and you get instant info. You can also zoom in and zoom out with RPGs, helping you see at a bigger distance. Also gone are the huge black borders from the originals. The credit song in San Andreas is of better quality, subtle change but still an improvement. The fans in the Ocean View Hotel now work. Somebody stole them in the OG. The parachute on CJ's back is massive as it should be. It should not be tiny like in the OG because a regular parachute cannot fit in a regular sized backpack. It's more true to real life now. The lighting got a massive improvement. Nighttime life can now be breathtaking at times in certain locations. The atmosphere as a whole is ruined, sure, but at least we have some shiny, pretty lights. After getting all collectibles in San Andreas, you should get a text saying what you got as a reward. Well, you do, but in the definitive this was not actually a thing in the OG. If you hold Control, you can walk slowly in GTA 3 and Vice City, which on PC was only possible before in San Andreas. This bush is just 4 lines in a cross pattern. Even the transparency is weird. Of course it looks like a proper bush in the definitive. In the original, if you wear clothes which are not the default Tommy outfit, if you then type the on-speed cheat twice and you die, after you respawn, Tommy will be wearing the default outfit instead. The definitive fixed this problem and Tommy has the proper outfit after death. When selecting new wheels for your vehicles, you can now see what exactly they look like on the left, before even selecting them. Back in the OG you had to manually check each one, which was very slow. In GTA 3, after taking a pill, the screen will become blurry and fuzzy, showing you the effects of the item you just picked up. In the original there's no effect. The map in the menu is of bigger quality and has more stuff on it. It's also not affected by your frame rate, meaning that at 60 FPS you don't need to scroll forever to completely zoom it out. All the games now support the Nvidia DLSS technology. My system doesn't support it because I have a GTX card, but if I had a newer GPU, then in theory I should get better performance. Bushes now react to your movement when walking alongside them. A small animation plays and they look more interactive and don't look like playing game props plopped here with no purpose. When looking from far away, cars appear to be driving on the streets. They are fake and sometimes appear to be floating, but they make the city feel more alive like in San Andreas. The dumbbell texture was finally fixed. It's always been broken before in all editions of the game. There's now a GPS system in all the games, helping you navigate each map way easier. While I don't find the system useful and I think it makes the game too easy, it is useful to new players who don't have a brain and cannot remember the layout of the maps. The first time you start Taxi Driver in the OG, a help box text should appear telling you what to do in the mission. Well, it never does. In the definitive you can clearly see a box, and while it's obvious what you gotta do, the game should provide some info to new players. If you stay inside the Salvatore Leone mansion and look outside, the fence used to visually disappear. Now, no matter at which angle you look at it, it will be visible at all times. In definitive, if you set yourself on fire, you can also set other people on fire too if you touch them. In the OG nothing happens if you do that, which makes no sense. After shooting the moon with a sniper, it gets bigger but doesn't change its surroundings. As you see in DE, the bigger it is, the more light it emits. We have hundreds of levitating trees in the definitive, while here the roles are reversed. This tree in particular in the OG is levitating, but not in the definitive. In the originals, if you don't use mods, very often your mouse would lock up and you couldn't move until you pause and unpause many times. Well, this issue is no longer in the games. This tunnel in the countryside without mods is ultra dark and you can't see anything. Well, it's lit up in the definitive. The camera interface in San Andreas is now smaller and it gives you tips on how to take pictures. It no longer covers up the whole screen. In Green Goo you're given a jetpack and you gotta use it throughout the whole mission. Well, not in the definitive. Once you get close to the train you can actually exit out and switch to a much better weapon than the Uzi. This way you get a lot more freedom in how you approach this mission, and also, by the way, this only works on this particular roof and not anywhere else, which is kinda weird. In the OG, if you start shooting without aiming you get no crosshair and you can't shoot up or down. In the definitive you always get a crosshair no matter what. In the mission Mad Dogs Rhymes, you pick up a rhyme book which is massive for some reason in the OG, while the book is of normal size in the definitive. In the Versary mansion, in one of the rooms containing many pickups, you can also see a full wall of weapons. It shows you that this is a dedicated weapon room, and that's why we have pickups here. In the OG it's empty. In San Andreas Definitive, cheats work as they do in the original GTA 3 and Vice City. They have fixed names. First of all, an intentional one and a few famous hash ones which people know from 2005. For instance, Hesoyam and I Need Some Help, which have the same exact function. While in the OG you could accidentally press a random combination of buttons and could enter a cheat. These we like to call the was the cheats. Accidental cheats you can no longer do in the Definitive Edition, which will save many speedruns in the future. When you enter the parking lot at the marina in the OG, the water level was seeping into the parking lot. This glitch is no longer present in the Definitive. When you look outside from your mansion, you'll see your hidden package reward, which is the Sea Sparrow. In the original it will not actually show up. The Havana outfit in the OG used to glitch out and sometimes you could not pick it up since it spawned inside a wall. This will no longer happen in the Definitive and you have access to the outfit forever. In Jesus Club the wall has a hole and you can see the underworld. It was glued together in the Definitive. All missions in the game have checkpoints now. In San Andreas you can even get a few checkpoints during the longer missions. This is great for new people who don't like to repeat the whole mission again. I personally think it makes the game so much easier, San Andreas in particular, but we also gotta think about the babies. In the OG, this fence is rendered behind the chimney. It should be in front, like it is in the Definitive. After typing the tank cheat, it always spawned on the street, even if the street is far away from you, forcing you to go and get it. Now in the Definitive Edition, tanks will always spawn right next to you. When CJ walks around pedestrians, they may try talking to him. He then gets an option to respond positively or negatively. You can do the same in the OG, but there's no prompt on the screen and you may not know it's possible. The briefs tab in your option menu can now show everything, yes, even the pager messages. It used to only show subtitles or very important dialogue. Now you won't miss anything. If you shoot the ground, now you'll see traces of your bullets. You'll not only see them, but they'll stay there for a while. Vegetation is vastly improved. I don't mean just the resolution, but the greenery is superb in every corner of the map. The countryside looks fantastic now. In Torino's Ranch you'll see a weird rendition of the San Andreas map. Why weird? Well, because this is the beta version of the map which the devs forgot to change. Well, they didn't forget to change it here, since in the Definitive it's an actual current San Andreas map. In the clothing store called Pro Labs, we have a new mirror which was not present before. Since the traffic is increased as a whole, it's more likely for rare vehicles to spawn, helping with the import-export garage, the Mr. Whoopi being a big one. In the military compound in Las Venturas you can see many floating boxes in the OG. In the Definitive, every box obeys gravity. In the OG it looks like there's no hole here, but there is. Nobody thought you would get up here with a chopper. Well, this hole actually looks like a hole. Nice. If you ever managed to get your hands on a police chopper in San Andreas, you probably never knew you could control the searchlight on it. Well, the Definitive tells you about this hidden feature, so you don't miss it. In the mission Bomb the Base, 8-Ball is holding a box which is levitating. The Definitive box is not, and he holds it properly. In Definitive, if you have a wanted level and start a gang war, the star will disappear and the wanted level will be disabled until the gang war is complete. The police stars will never disappear in the OG. Police does not even do anything during gang war, so having the wanted level here was pointless. If you do paramedic in the first island, you always had annoying patients spawning on the beach, and the beach terrain is bad and you may flip your vehicle. In the Definitive, no patient will ever spawn on the beach, and this is why the first island is now the best one to complete paramedic in. When pedestrians walk across fire, they get set on fire. In the OG they don't. The weapon wheel was added to the games. It not only allows you to select a weapon quickly, but it also slows down time, giving you more time to choose. At Super Save in San Fierro you can glitch yourself into this building. This glitch does not give you any benefit, in definitive this hole is filled up and you can't go through. A new cheat was added to all the games which makes the heads of the protagonists huge. This cheat was only a thing in GTA Liberty City stories, glad it made it to the trilogy. Many interiors in the game are filled up with extra items. A great example is Mad Dog's mansion. It looks livable now and not like an empty warehouse. In GTA 3 characters are stitched together, each body part is separate and it looks jarring when you pay attention to it. This was fixed in definitive and is now one continuous model. And finally guys, the biggest and most important improvement is that the definitive editions promote other games so you don't have to waste your time on this shit. The game itself tells you not to play it because it's complete trash. Why am I saying this? Well, because all these improvements I showed do not make the game good. They only show you how great these remasters could have been if some effort was put into making them. If these 5 videos did not exist and we had only this one, then this would have been the best remaster of all time. Oh, and by the way, it took 2 years of research to make this improvement video, but it takes me about a month to make one of these. Do with this information as you wish. Anyway, enough rambling, leave a like if you enjoyed, a dislike if you felt hurt by reality. Thank you for watching, and a special thank you to Olavili Kanin, Case Nice, Sean Pasca, Hirsash, Chimonish Pradeep, Faith, Shinte, Bad Boy Hero, Xessi, Jebediah, Redux, Versetti Gwen, Jim Francescos, and everybody else.